Good morning and welcome to Ask the Expert, an award-winning daily live show from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. to help small businesses. If you've got any questions throughout the show, please ask them in the comments of our live feed. And if you need any more advice, why not join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook? There's accountants and business experts available in there 24/7. During the live session, we'll also be running a poll, so please do engage with it, and I will reveal the results at the end of the session. On the 3rd of March, you can join us at QuickBooks virtual events, QuickBooks Connect. The virtual event brings entrepreneurs, small business owners, and accountants together to grow, learn, and connect with each other. Having attended the physical QuickBooks Connect for the last few years, I can tell you that it's a fantastic event, and due to it being online, it's actually free this year. So definitely worth blocking out your diary for the day and attending that to learn more about various aspects of running a business. My name is Johann Goree, and I am the Managing Director of OnPoint Accounting Group, and I'm the founder of JGBC, an accounting firm based up in Scotland. I want to talk to you today about planning to reopen. All the governments of the UK are starting to talk about when they will or won't be lifting restrictions for COVID lockdowns. And it's really important as business owners that we're ready for when they do lift the restrictions so that we can get started straight away and we can make sure that our businesses are ready to capitalise on the reopening of the economy when it happens. Currently, it looks like it's going to happen around the start of March. But you need to keep up to date with the news and follow the headlines to make sure you know when your area is going to open up. Scotland, England, Wales and Ireland are all going to be doing slightly different things, I would imagine, as we've seen for the last year. So in getting ready, what do we need to do? First of all, if you had to close your business for the first lockdown and then you reopened in the summer, you may remember me speaking about getting ready to reopen your business back in summer of 2020. It seems like an age ago, but what's really important is that you look at how well that reopening went. Have a look at the logistics. Have a look at how happy your customers were. Were you able to serve as many people as you hoped you would? Were you able to deliver the service or the product to the level your customers have come to expect of you over the years? If you weren't completely happy with your reopening, now's the time to start looking at why and looking at how you can change that. It's also important to have a look at how the cash flow worked for the last reopening. Did you have enough customers coming through the door for the amount of staffing and resources you put in place? Did you have too many customers and not enough staffing and resources for the putting in place? So once you've reviewed last summer's reopening and how it went, you need to check for health and safety first. Can you make your working place any safer for your customers and your staff? Are you going to be able to follow all the COVID rules regarding social distancing, personal protective equipment, etc.? Are there any updates to those rules since you last looked at that, last reopened in summer 2020? And if so, how are you going to implement those new rules? Once you've looked at the how, what's really important is to work out the cash flow. So we've come across some clients recently who reopened for summer, but they overstaffed or they understaffed. Now, this is a really hard thing to judge and get right. So it's really important that you're monitoring your cash flow on a daily basis, because although you don't want to overstaff and not have enough money coming in from your customers to pay for all the staffing and resources you're putting into reopening, you don't want to understaff and lose out on sales either. So there's a really fine balancing act to be done there. So draw up a 30-day cash flow spreadsheet of tracking how much you need to have coming in each day to cover the costs, and have some variations so you know if your customer demand is higher than expected, this is how much you need to make to cover an extra staff member and things like that. Once you've planned how you're going to reopen, you've planned how the safety implications are going to impact on your business and how it operates. You've had a look at your cash flow to make sure you know what targets you need to do on sales each day to justify it. It's really important that you educate your customers. And this comes from really clear advertising. And it's actually one of the things that we've seen in a lot of our bigger firms out there in the UK. So, for example, McDonald's have done a really, really good job at communicating and educating their customers on what to expect when you go to McDonald's now. There's a big national TV campaign that they're running. It tells you how they're protecting their customers, how they're protecting their staff, and it warns you to expect delays to the speed of service you normally would expect from McDonald's, because they're running on less staff to maintain social distancing. They've also got a limited menu, and they make that really clear in the adverts. So have a look at what the big companies are doing and see if you can replicate that to help educate your customers. I'm not suggesting that you take out a national TV campaign, but potentially have a look at updating your social media. Start sending out posts, send out emails to regular customers if you've got an email list, and try and just educate people so they know what to expect when they come to you. So if you're running a restaurant and you've got 60 covers normally and you're down to 30 because of social distancing, educate your audience, make them aware of that before they come, make them aware of the importance of booking ahead, not just turning up and being disappointed that there's no vacancies available for them to sit down. If you run a cafe and you aren't serving as quickly as normal because you've only got one staff member in the kitchen instead of 2 or 3 because of social distancing, educate your customer about that. Let them know. Communication at this time is really important so that customers don't get annoyed or disappointed, and they come in ready and willing to follow your rules and procedures to meet your safety guidelines. And then once you don't stop educating your customers. So keep going with your education, and keep going once you're reopened with your education to see if that, to make sure that people are constantly aware of, if they're coming in, these are the rules to follow. This is what to expect from your level of service. And then while you're doing that, keep up to date with the rules. Keep following places like the BBC or wherever you get your news from, so that you know if there's any changes to social distancing rules. Are there any restrictions on your industry? Follow places like the FSB or your industry specific governing bodies. They will be releasing constantly blogs and updates on how the rules impact on your industry and how you need to follow them. And by keeping up with those rules and implementing the changes, you can make sure that both yourself, your customers, and your staff are being looked after from a safety point of view, whilst you're still able to trade and generate some income after a very long time of being shut down. So let me just recap those points for you. You need to review last year's reopening. Were there any sticking points, any pain points that you want to try and eradicate this time? Planning ahead for the reopening is really important. So getting ready to go, making sure everything's ready, not just waking up one morning going, oh, I need to reopen my shop today, and having not thought about it and planned it through. You've got plenty of time now. It looks like it's going to be the start of March. That could get delayed. Don't get me wrong. It could be the start of April. We don't know. But with 3 to 4 weeks potentially to go, now is the time to plan. So review last summer's reopening and work out if there's any pain points you want to remove. Is there any systems or processes that would improve what happened? Plan your cash flow. Work out how much you need to generate in sales each day to justify your staffing and staying open. And also have a contingency plan. So if your sales go much higher than you expected, then you can adjust that, knowing exactly beforehand how many staffing and how many hours you need to use. Then educate your customers. Follow the big boys. If McDonald's and Co are happy to educate their customers using national TV campaigns, use social media. Explain to people how things are going to work when you're open. Explain to them what levels of service to expect. Apologise if you need to, that your services aren't going to be quite up to speed, or you've got a limited menu or a limited product range. And people are completely understanding of that because of COVID. And once you've educated your customers, keep educating them. Just because you've reopened doesn't mean you need to stop educating your customers. Continue educating them while these rules are in place. And then just keep up to date with all the rules. Follow the news, follow your governing bodies, follow your industry leaders to understand what the rules are and how they are going to impact on you and your business, and if there's anything you need to do to be able to stay safe with your customers and your staff during this time. So I hope that's helped. I think it's really important. We're potentially 4 weeks away from reopening our businesses. Now is the time to start planning and getting organised and ready to go. And then when you do get the announcement saying you can open, you can just crack on and open the doors, and everything's planned and organised. So let's move on to some questions. We have our first question coming in from Johnny on Facebook Messenger. Hi, Johann. I run a pub in Norfolk. We can now hopefully see a light at the end of the tunnel for when we can reopen. Do you know if I need to keep customer records or contact tracing? Hi, Johnny. Look, as I said in my opening bit, we know it's coming. We can see a light at the end of the tunnel, especially in pubs. I know you've had a really tough time over the last year with being penalised and hit by some of the hardest and strictest rules and the quickest lockdowns. But what we don't know is what anything looks like after reopening. So I think it's a really safe bet to say we're going to have to follow the same rules for a while as we had back in summer of 2020. So yes, I think contact tracing is still going to be in place. So plan to redo that. One thing I would say about contact tracing, having experienced it a lot myself, is try and be a bit more sensitive with customer contact details. Far too often I walked into cafes, pubs, restaurants where there was just this clipboard with a bit of paper with every person's name, number and email address sat in public view. So just try and be sensitive of that data. You wouldn't want to get into any trouble about GDPR or anything like that. Some of the best examples I've seen are just people that have got printed out slips that are sat on tables. You fill out your slip, you hand it into your team, into this team member that's serving you or helping you in that deliver your service, and they collect those, which is really good way of ensuring GDPR is completely covered. So yeah, I think any rules you had to follow in summer 2020, Johnny, I think you're gonna have to follow those again this for at least spring into summer this year. So expect social distancing, expect contact tracing, expect keeping records of customers, expect the same PPE. I think until they're happy that the vaccine has been rolled out to a high enough level of people, they are rules that we're going to have to become quite accustomed to. So I hope that helps. We've got a message in from Samuel on Twitter DM. Good morning. I've just started a limited business. How should I think about pension? Do I pay tax on that? Hi, Samuel. Every person has a pension contribution limit each year. So you can put in an amount into your pension from your business, tax-free for both corporation tax and personal tax. So it's really important when it comes to pensions, you speak to a financial advisor. Accountants, unless they're trained financial advisors, can't tell you what pension you can and can't use. We can tell you what your limits are and how best to do it tax-wise, but it's really important to have a good chat with a financial advisor who can turn around to you and tell you what pension is going to work best for you, what's going to get you the best returns, and they're also fully aware of what you can and can't claim through limited businesses towards your pension. So they'll be really, really helpful to have a chat with someone like that, just to make sure your personal circumstances are being met. Right, we've got a question from Sasha on Facebook Messenger. Hi, I had a small store on the high street, but due to the pandemic, I've decided to move online. Do you have any advice on how I should plan cash flow? I don't know how it will go, as I've had my store for 10 years and I've not been online before. Okay, Sasha. So planning your cash flows when you're making such a big change and big pivot is can be really difficult. And it's very much a bit of a finger in the sky kind of thing. So what I would say is expect a drop on sales in the earlier days, because people need to learn that you're online. But I think overall, because you're no longer just on this high street in a town or a city. You're now on the UK, you're on the internet. Anyone in the world can buy your products. So find a way to educate your old customers that used to come in store. Is that whether you've got their email addresses, whether they follow you on social media, make everyone aware that you're now on this online platform. And then push your social media, encourage people to share your Facebook posts and your Facebook page or whatever it is you're using with links to your website. Encourage, share posts about your products or services. And overall, I would imagine in a year's time, you'll look back and you'll go, oh, my sales have increased dramatically, because you're not just talking to this little audience that pass by your shop door each day anymore. You're talking to the whole of the UK, if not the world, of your products and services. So moving online, I think, will be really, really successful for you. But cash flow wise, it's a bit of a finger in the air type thing. But I would imagine that I would try pushing it for a couple of weeks, see what the sales are like, and then gradually grow it from there at a small percentage, week on week, and see how you go. The bonus of being online is your operating costs are going to be much lower than they were. So that will help reduce the amount of sales you're actually looking for to achieve the same kind of profits. So I hope that helps. But if you have a chat with your accountant, I'm sure they'll be able to sit down and come up with some forecast models for you, because they'll know your business more intimately than I ever will. Okay, we've got Drake from Instagram on DM. Hi, Johann. Have you seen any trends in the kind of businesses that self-employed individuals are doing well in? I want to start up in some side hustle to aid my salary, but it could do with some advice and inputs from you. Okay, so Drake, let's have a think. What we noticed originally when the lockdown started was a lot of people going into trade. So handymen, man with van, that kind of thing came along very quickly. They're very low cost to set up. They're very easy to run, and they can be flexible around your normal day-to-day job. My only advice on that at the moment is, even those kind of industries have been restricted. Certainly up here in Scotland, you can only go into someone else's home as a tradesman if it's an emergency. So helping someone put up a TV wall bracket or something no longer is allowed to happen until the lockdown's lifted. Online retail is doing very well, but anything that any industry that you think you're experienced and have got skills in doing, that as long as it's not sitting in a restaurant, or as long as the current lockdown rules aren't going to prevent you from doing it, then there's an option there for you. But expect a slow start. It takes time to build up names, reputations, and customer bases. It won't happen overnight. But yeah, so hopefully it helps a bit. Just think, how could I deliver this service or product in the current lockdown rules? Because if you can deliver in the current lockdown rules, you can certainly deliver in the normal rules. So I hope that helps. We've got a question from Martha on Twitter DM. Good morning, Johann. Do you have any advice on planning a cash flow forecast after receiving minimal revenue from a cafe for the last 12 months? Okay, Martha. So I think most of our cafes and bars and restaurants have had a very minimal, if any, income. I've got a client in mind that we have been helping over at JGBC for the last few months with their cafe. And basically what they know is they know the behavior of their clients and their customers. They know Saturdays are their strongest day. They know Monday to Tuesday just doesn't exist. There's no point of opening. And they know Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday and Sunday are average. So what they've done is they've worked out how much they need to generate each week in sales to cover all of their costs and generate a little bit of profit. Once they've done that, they've then split that weekly amount of sales they need across the 5 days they're open for. and they spread it according to the customer's patterns. So they've got a bigger target to achieve on a Saturday because they know Saturday's historically a stronger day for them. And then basically what they do is they measure themselves every day. When they get to the end of the day, they know what their target was for the day for sales. They end of day the till, and they get the answer they're looking for from their bit of paper. They get the till report, and they know if they've hit their target or not for the day. So just try and reduce your costs as best you can as you go through, and then just set your daily targets, and that will help generate your cash flow plan. So I hope that helps. We have got a question on Facebook Live from Shortcat. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Which channels are the best to educate customers? Social media, emails, or signs in store? I think it's really important that you use all three. Put out, if you've got a website, put out a blog with your update on how you're going to work when you reopen. If you've got social media, start putting posts up about how it's going to work, what to expect. Put out posts on social media of your signage in your shop. So it all starts building in together to come as one big plan of communication. So yeah, I don't think there's one single channel you should focus on. I think you should ultimately use them all. So that will help generate that education of customers that you're looking for. So I hope that helps. Alan from Twitter DM. Hi, Johann. Do you have any examples of your clients that are proactive through this and what they're doing to be proactive? So Alan, the JGBC client base, which is about 330 clients across the UK, have all been really proactive. It's been incredible. So we've got a local whiskey shop up in Dunkeld that started doing online whiskey tastings. That's been really popular for them. We've got cafes that have turned from in-house to cooking outside and generating takeaway sales, which they never really used to have. We've got cafes that have started building pre-made baking kits to help you educate children on how to bake cakes and stuff during homeschooling. So you go in, you pick up a cake, a pre-made kit where everything's all measured out for you. There's a nice simple recipe that you and your children can deliver, which has been fantastic. Gives everyone something to enjoy and do, and there's a nice treat at the end of it. But overall, we've been really impressed with how proactive all of our clients have been. They've been really resilient, really positive thinking and proactive. I think that's the main thing is if you stick your head in the sand like an ostrich and you think, and you start blaming COVID for everything, you're not going to get anywhere. You need to take it by, you need to grab it with both hands and really run with it and think how you can adapt and overcome these things and be positive about it. And that will lead to your proactiveness. So I hope that helps, Alan. But yeah, there's some amazing examples out there of businesses being proactive and overcoming the challenges they're facing. And in some cases, it's actually made them more successful than they ever have been. So it's really, really good news in a lot of places. We've got a question in from Valerie on Instagram. Hi, Johann. I'm currently being furloughed, but I'm thinking about setting up my own dessert delivery takeaway service. By having an income through dessert delivery, will this mean I get into trouble with HMRC or no longer qualify for furlough? Okay, so if you're going to run a little dessert takeaway delivery, if you're in Edinburgh, please let me know because I love I've got a very big sweet tooth. But as long as you report any income to HMRC for a self-assessment tax return, HMRC won't mind. And regarding the furlough part, if your employment contract states that you can't run a business or work anywhere else in your contract, then you can't do this plan of setting up your own business. So you've got to follow your normal contract terms. But if you are allowed under your contract to work elsewhere and to run your own business as well as be employed by your boss, then it also allows you to work while you're on furlough. You're just not allowed to work for the same company while you're on furlough. So if you're running your own self-employed business and you're on furlough, that's absolutely fine. And I hope that goes well for you. We've got a question from Lee on Facebook Messenger. Hi, Johann. Out of all the preparation you've mentioned for reopening, what is the number one thing to do you think we as small business owners should be prioritising right now? Educating your customers, communicating, getting them excited that you're reopening. That's the number one thing, because without customers, there's no point in reopening. So show customers how you're doing things to make them safe. Show customers what services and products you're going to still be delivering once you reopen, even if it's a restricted range compared to normal. So communication with your customers is by far the biggest and most important part of all of this, Lee. And to be able to communicate how you're going to do things safely, then you're going to need to plan how to do things safely. So that will work really well. So yeah, I hope that helps, Lee. We have a question from Hansa on Facebook Messenger, which is going to be our last question for today. Hi, Johann. I'm an online tutor and sell courses digitally. I want to know if I can claim back VAT on UK Facebook advertising. Hi, Hansa. So Facebook normally doesn't apply VAT to any of its advertising. The UK Facebook billing is normally based in Ireland, if I remember off the top of my head. I've not dealt with it in a few months. But you'll need to check with Facebook as to whether it's a VAT receipt you're getting and if there's anything claimable there. But I don't think, from what I recall, Facebook advertising is a battable service. I think it's just a normal cost. So I hope that helps, but have a chat with your accountant and they'll be able to check for you whether the invoices you're being sent for Facebook are battable or not. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. So I'm just going to have a check of the poll. The poll results we asked you for are: have you pivoted your business in the last year? 67% of you said yes, and 33% of you said no. That's in line really with what we kind of have experienced. A third of our businesses, our clients, haven't had to pivot. They've been quite okay to carry on as they normally are. But 2/3 have either had to pivot or haven't been able to pivot because they've had to close full stop during the lockdown rules. So yeah, that poll is in line with my expectations, if I'm honest. And it's great to see that 2/3 of the businesses have been able to pivot so successfully. So yeah, pivoting a business is never an easy job to do, but it's fantastic that you've been able to achieve it. So thank you for tuning in. If you want to get in touch with me, you can do so by messaging me on LinkedIn. And coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow is Anthony Davis, who is a psychotherapist and the founder of Anthony Davis Therapy. Tune in tomorrow to learn how you can manage your lockdown stress. Don't forget to join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB group on Facebook and also register for QuickBooks Connect. And you can find the link for all of that in the comments. Really enjoyed answering your questions today. Hope you all have a really good day and stay safe. Thank you very much.